The Great Train Robbery of 1963 remains one of the boldest and most iconic heists in British history. In the early hours of August 8th, a group of 15 men stopped a Royal Mail train travelling from Glasgow to London and escaped with £2.6 million in cash, equivalent to more than $60 million today. The plan was led by Bruce Reynolds, a professional thief who assembled a team of career criminals and ex-soldiers. Using a false signal light to stop the train, the gang overpowered the driver and uncoupled the first two carriages. They then loaded 120 mailbags filled with banknotes into waiting vehicles before vanishing into the countryside. The operation was quick, clean, and shockingly efficient. The gang retreated to a remote farmhouse in Buckinghamshire, where they divided the cash and tried to lay low. However, the discovery of fingerprints and clues left behind at their hideout soon led police to them. Over the following months, most of the robbers were arrested, but much of the stolen money was never recovered. Scotland Yard launched one of the largest manhunts in British history. Detectives traced vehicles, communications, and safe houses used by the gang, while 12 of the 15 robbers were eventually caught and convicted. The investigation exposed the scale of planning and precision that went into the heist, as well as the arrogance that brought the thieves down. Bruce Reynolds was the ringleader, with Ronnie Biggs, Buster Edwards, and others playing key roles. Several escaped custody over the years, including Biggs, who famously fled to Brazil and lived in exile for decades before returning to the UK. Their stories became legends of crime folklore. The Great Train Robbery of 1963 remains a symbol of both genius and downfall, a meticulously planned theft that shook Britain and fascinated the world. Though the robbers pulled off one of the largest cash heists in history, most of the fortune vanished forever, and the myth of the gentleman thief was born. Men who became famous not just for stealing, but for outsmarting the system. The Lufthansa heist stands as one of the most legendary and daring robberies in American history. In the early hours of December 11, 1978, a group of mob-connected thieves executed a near-perfect plan at JFK International Airport, stealing over $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewelry, worth more than $25 million today. The operation targeted the Lufthansa cargo terminal, which stored unclaimed money flown in from West Germany. The plan was masterminded by Jimmy Burke, an associate of New York's Lucchese crime family, and carried out by a crew of trusted men. They gained access using inside information provided by a Lufthansa employee and executed the robbery with military precision. Within just over an hour, the team vanished with millions, leaving no immediate trace. While the heist itself was pulled off flawlessly, what followed was chaos. Suspicion, greed, and paranoia tore the crew apart. One by one, many of the participants were found dead under mysterious circumstances, believed to be executed by Burke himself to cover loose ends. The money was never officially recovered, and most of those involved never faced justice. The FBI launched one of the most intense manhunts in U.S. history. Dozens were questioned. Surveillance ran for years, and informants came forward, but the case stalled. No physical evidence linked the robbers directly to the crime, and witnesses often disappeared or were silenced. It became a textbook case of how organized crime operated in secrecy and fear. Jimmy Burke was believed to be the mastermind, with several associates, including Henry Hill, whose later testimony inspired the movie Goodfellas. However, Burke was never charged for the heist itself, only for related crimes. Most others connected to the robbery either vanished or were murdered before they could testify. The Lufthansa heist remains one of the most successful unsolved robberies in American history. Despite decades of investigations and public fascination, most of the stolen money was never found, and no one was ever convicted for the actual theft. The heist became a symbol of both the brilliance and brutality of organized crime, a perfect crime that turned into a bloody aftermath. Known as the heist of the century, the Antwerp Diamond heist remains one of the most sophisticated robberies ever pulled off. In February 2003, thieves stole more than $100 million worth of diamonds, gold, and jewelry from the high-security vault of the Antwerp Diamond Center, right in the middle of the world's diamond capital. The mastermind behind the operation was Leonardo Notarbartolo, an Italian thief and experienced jewel expert. He posed as a legitimate diamond dealer for over 2 years, earning the trust of everyone in the diamond center. On the night of the robbery, Notarbartolo and his team bypassed 10 layers of security, including infrared sensors, magnetic locks, and heat detectors. They used aluminum foil, plastic replicas of keys, and careful planning to outsmart every system. When employees arrived the next morning, they found the vault open minus 123 of 160 safety deposit boxes were empty. No alarms had gone off. The thieves had vanished without a trace. It was an almost surgical strike, with not a single diamond left scattered behind. Belgian police launched an international investigation. A key breakthrough came when they discovered discarded bags of trash near Notarbartolo's hideout, filled with evidence including receipts, video footage, and even half-eaten sandwiches. DNA traces tied him directly to the scene. Despite the breakthrough, most of the stolen gems were never found. The group, later nicknamed the School of Turin, included Notarbartolo and 4 other Italian criminals, experts in electronics, locks, and alarm systems. They were eventually arrested, but only partial recovery of the loot was made. The majority of the diamonds remain missing to this day. Notarbartolo was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but he never revealed the full story, claiming the heist was actually part of an insurance scam orchestrated by insiders in the diamond trade. Whether truth or lie, the Antwerp diamond heist remains a legendary mystery, not just for its success, but for the incredible intelligence, patience, and precision it took to pull off. In the early hours of March 18, 1990, 2 men dressed as Boston police officers arrived at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Claiming to respond to a disturbance, they convinced the night guards to let them in. Once inside, they handcuffed the guards, wrapped duct tape around their eyes and mouths, and began their operation. Over the next 81 minutes, the thieves carefully removed 13 pieces of priceless art, including works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Degas, worth more than $500 million. The heist wasn't discovered until the morning shift arrived. The museum was in chaos. Empty frames hanging on the walls, wires cut, alarms disabled. It was immediately clear this wasn't random vandalism. This was one of the most professional and mysterious art heists in history. The theft shocked the global art community. The stolen pieces were so iconic that selling them was nearly impossible, meaning they were taken for reasons beyond profit. The museum left the empty frames on display, a haunting reminder of what was lost. For decades, it became a symbol of art's fragility and human greed. The FBI launched one of its largest art investigations ever. Dozens of suspects were interrogated, from local Boston mobsters to international art smugglers, but no one was charged. Leads went cold. The paintings were rumored to have changed hands through the black market, hidden in basements or vaults. Even today, despite a $10 million reward, not a single artwork has been recovered. Over 30 years later, the case remains unsolved. The thieves' identities are still unknown. The museum keeps the empty frames hanging, a ghostly gallery of what once was. It stands as a chilling reminder that sometimes the perfect crime is never caught. In August 2005, one of the most audacious bank heists in modern history took place at the Banco Central in Fortaleza, Brazil. Thieves managed to steal approximately 160 million Brazilian reais, around $70 million USD, from the bank's vault. What made this crime legendary was not just the sum stolen, but the ingenuity, planning, and near-perfect execution of the burglary. The criminals rented a house near the bank several months in advance and dug a 78-meter-long tunnel straight into the bank. The tunnel was reinforced, ventilated, and equipped with lights, a full underground operation. Using precise measurements and tools, they broke through the reinforced walls and bypassed multiple security systems. Once inside, they loaded bags full of cash and transported them through the tunnel, leaving almost no evidence behind. The heist went completely unnoticed until the bank opened for business the next Monday. Bank employees arrived on the morning of August 7, 2005, to find the vault empty of cash. Initially, it seemed impossible. There were no signs of forced entry from the street or bank entrance. Panic spread quickly, and authorities realized this was a meticulously planned underground operation. Surveillance cameras had recorded nothing. The burglars had disabled some sensors and cameras from within the tunnel. The Brazilian police launched a massive investigation, employing forensic experts and financial analysts to trace the stolen money. They discovered the tunnel, which was hidden under a rented property, and examined the sophistication of its construction. Despite hundreds of suspects and years of inquiry, most of the money was never recovered, and only a few accomplices were arrested. The level of precision suggested professional expertise, possibly with inside knowledge of the bank's layout. Authorities suspected an organized criminal group with engineering skills. Some reports linked the crime to local gangs, but no single mastermind was definitively identified. The complexity of the tunnel, including ventilation, lighting, and structural supports, indicated that this was not the work of ordinary criminals. Even years later, the Banco Central burglary is remembered as a benchmark for criminal ingenuity, demonstrating that with patience, planning, and boldness, even the most secure locations can be breached. The heist remains a legendary story of underground audacity, inspiring documentaries, articles, and ongoing fascination worldwide.